couldn't walk a mile in these Air Maxes. From the streets where a murder is a scare tactic. We bear ratchets for enemies trying to flare at us. You hesitating, you die, best be prepared at it. It's automatic, but it's just another day of life. Whatever dues I had to pay them twice. But I ain't tripping, it's part of the mission. Struggle gave a nigga vision, bring the shit to fruition.
Yo, what's going on? NicoTV, Voice of the West. I'm here. As promised, man, we getting into the conversation on this year's power rankings. I put in the title, this is update number 5, but I feel like this is probably like update 15 or something like that. But in terms of like publicly talking about it, this might have been like my 5th time talking about it, because normally I just kind of update it, you know, just have it out there just in case, you know, whoever wants to look at it, check it. I ain't really posted it too much, but, you know, the link is out there in the conference and different videos. But I figured, you know, this year I didn't do any actual extended breakdown or have any conversation about it. I kind of just put it out there, and, you know, I seen the response. I said, you know what, I got to do some more due diligence. Let me go ahead and talk about this, because, you know, every time, you know, drop a power rankings, there's always some outrage. And, you know, a lot of times I really don't care to respond to it, because, you know, at this stage of the game, you know, I done seen it all, heard it all, seen it all. But then you get at a couple events and you start really having conversations with people, and it's like, maybe I should have took the time to just go ahead and break this down. Maybe I should have just took the time. So right now, it's exactly what we're going to do. Get a full breakdown, full, you know what I'm saying, explanation of the power rankings. And not just my word. Not just from my word. We're going to put it on the main screen. We're going to put this on the Summer Jam screen. We're going to put this out there as well. And so we're going to go over everything, point system, the resume, how it works, why certain things look the way that they do. Everything will be explained in this video. You know what I'm saying? So that everybody can keep up. And I'll make sure, you know, every week I'll make sure I do another video updating, showing everybody what it's looking like. Even if there's no update whatsoever, just make sure I do videos weekly. You know what I'm saying? Just to keep it up to date and have people, you know what I'm saying, being able to pay attention and figure out where people are amongst the West hierarchy and all that good stuff. All right? As always, though, man, if y'all can, man, hit the like for your boy, drop a comment, all that good stuff. Share it, get the message out there that we live, we talking about it. We cooking up. We cooking up. All right? Now, power rankings. How do the power rankings work? Why are certain people ranked certain places? Why are other people not? Where am I at? Why is this look biased? What's going on? I'm answering all questions. I've seen it all. I've heard it all. And I'm answering any and all questions, right? So the first thing I got to put out there, make sure that I say, is that, as you can see in the title, this is NicoTV's West Power Rankings, as you can see on your screen. Now, in the title of the video for YouTube, I put Western Conference Power Rankings. That's really what it is. It's for all the battle rappers that make up the Western Conference. Well, we got 9 states worth of people, you know what I'm saying, that make up the Western Conference. You got Oregon, you got Washington. I think Idaho is a part of this now, from what I understand. California, Nevada, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Arizona. I think that's all of them. It's about 9 of y'all. And so everybody is going to be a part of this as battles drop, and as you accrue certain point totals, I'll add you. Now, there are going to be certain people you'll see when we go to the battler's resume for 2025. There are certain battle rappers who I have not even added to the list, and that's purely because their point totals with their battles has not earned them a slot. And if you do see people on there that do not even have enough points to make it into the top 30, that is purely because they were there when it first started. And I'm not going to take them off the list. They were on it at one point. So if they get battles that accrue more points over time, we'll add them back. All right. But yeah, let's get into the breakdown. Let's go ahead and get to it. So first and foremost, to make sure we go over here to let's get to the point system. I think this is the best place to start because I think this will take care of a lot of the conversation that comes with the power rankings, the lists, why is certain things looking a certain way. So we'll start right here. Quality of opponent. This is where I feel like certain people were having issues and had questions with the power rankings. Why are certain people not getting points? Why are certain people getting more points? What's up with that? So let's explain it. Quality of opponent. This is like strength of schedule with champion of the year. I just put a total to each level of competition. Now, in the first one, rookies/local vets gets you 100 points. I know that that's a problem because somebody's going to say, Nico, battling shy dogs should not be the same as if somebody just battled somebody who has 2 battles or 3 battles. I agree. In theory, I agree with you. Where I differ in the explanation of it is on an overall scale, the only place that's going to care about that is here. All right? The only place that's going to care about that is the West. My guy BP, Snack King in the building. Hey, if y'all can too, man, please make sure you click on that profile, Snack King. Please be sure to click on that man's YouTube channel and subscribe. This man be having live streams. This man be having all night live streams. I done pulled up sometimes. I'll be midnight, 1 a.m. Oh, this nigga live? Let me check out something. So please make sure y'all subscribe to man. Be keeping the content going. It's my bro, man. You know what I'm saying? You said, and is there a Boone Award? That is a good question. There is an award named after Billy. There is an award named after Billy. It was on the Western Conference Awards. Yeah, there's definitely one that was named after Boone for sure. Definitely, want to keep the legacy and everything alive. Want to make sure we always mention, bro. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, there's different awards named after different people. And I don't know if I'll continue doing it because I know some people felt like it shouldn't be every single one. But I do think certain people who had a lasting impact on the West, they should at least have an award in their name. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, there definitely is that. But yeah, as far as the power rankings, the first comment was rookies and local vets. Nico, why is it the same? Because in the culture of battle rap, it's the same. Now, again, I use Shy Dog as an example because he's one of the more recognizable vets that we have here. He's somebody who has the talent to be more than just a gatekeeper over here or more than just somebody who battles strictly in the West. He has the talent level to be on par with a lot of the professional tier. In my opinion, he does. But he is also, in my opinion, one of the more recognizable. Him, Young Pop. I would say somebody like, let me see who else in the vet category. Ratchet. And I'm not saying that they're in terms of who's better or who's where. I'm just saying in terms of the vets. Ron Compton. There's certain people who have earned the right over a period of time where they've shown you what they can produce at the highest level that they produced. You know what I'm saying? The ebbs and flows of their career has gotten them to a place where now they're in the vet category here. They can give you a good upgrade in competition. Sometimes that could be early. Sometimes that could be later for somebody that's new. Just depends, right? But I have rookies and local vets at 100. And really my rationale with this is strictly just it's local. Because to me, if you had somebody like, let's say, Dapper Zay, and you battle him, and then you battle somebody like the people that I mentioned, there can be a difference in how polished the person is with rapping. There can be a difference in skill in terms of how comfortable somebody is. Certain attributes could be a little bit better just with tenure and time and trial and error. But the one thing that I want to harp on with this is that, as you can see, when you get to the next level of quality of opponent, it's a jump. So to me, rookies, local vets, they get that 100. Right? They get that 100. Now, thing that we have to understand about that too is that when we say rookies, there's only certain people that we really, really are going to put out there on a certain level, right? You got to be honest about it. There's only certain people we're going to put out there on a particular level. Like we're talking about the main people. So right now, obviously Kamikaze and them, they're not going to be rookies, but they're kind of in that rookie class. So when you see rookies, I know people think about it, it's your first or second battle. It really just means newer battle rapper. It doesn't necessarily have to mean your first year, your first battle. In reality, what it means is just you're new. Because if you're in that in-between phase where people like Kamikaze, Dre Del Rey, Treyfo, they're new. They're newer, right? Been here for a couple years. They're trying to get their footing right, trying to figure out where they are. They're not vets and they're not all-stars, but they're not rookies either. But they're closer to that than they are to, or they might be closer to vets than they are to certain places. So that's why that's 100 points. I'm all for people saying that they disagree. I get it. I could even understand if somebody said, "Hey, you should get a vets," a little difference. Maybe even get a vets. If you battle a vet, give them a little extra points. Give them 200. I'm not gonna do that right now. I do understand that, but I think where the point totals will differ, it also has to play a part with the other factors out there as well, right? So I do understand that one. I'll definitely make sure I, do the due diligence of just listening to the feedback. I definitely have heard some people say that this should be a little bit more. I'm not mad at it. I might even change it up. May happen. Got to look at that again and figure it out. Find out what makes sense. But in all actuality, if we're gonna be honest, whether you're a rookie, a vet, you're somebody who has promise, or you're a vet that's just been around a while, if you're not in that all-star tier or higher, you're kind of in the same spot as everybody else. You don't really have a ranking system that's outside of the West. You understand what I'm saying? Just keep that in mind as well. Professional tier / vets / all-stars. Now, Nico, you got vets in here. You got local vets 100, but now you got vets for 3. So what is the difference? So vets in battle rap. Vets are the people that aren't legends, but they've been here as long as legends have. Right? So when we're looking at certain vets in the culture, people who have been around, I look at somebody like Steams. Steams is on the professional tier. Professional tier just means mid tier. I know everybody says mid tier. I like to say the professional tier because I think once you get to a certain level, you're a professional at this. If you're getting paid to travel consistently multiple times a year, different platforms, different levels of competition, whether you're giving a shot, whether you're getting a shot, whatever it is, right? If you're keeping your name in rotation and getting these battles booked on a consistent basis on a certain level that all of battle rap recognizes in terms of the culture, that's professional tier to me. That'd be like mid tier, right? That's equal. Mid tier, professional tier, same thing. I just call it something different. There are vets that are in the professional tier. So there are some people who are vets where they might not be as active, but they are vets. They might not be as active, but they are vets, right? And so we add them, right? All-stars. All-stars is another variation of the professional tier. All-stars is really an example for your region. So that's like regional all-stars. So over here, we have all-stars every year. We look at people like Next. We look at people like Saint. We look at people like Real Name. You look at people like Justice, Hansel. You look at people like Active. You look at people like Clutch. Those are going to be the all-stars that you're going to look at every year and you're going to say, okay, these are our all-stars, right? And that's what that tier is. Now, all-star is a little bit different from vets and professional tier because all-stars also means who's popping. So sometimes you could be in the professional tier, you're just not as popular as somebody who's an all-star because all-star is an active title. That means that year you are an all-star. It fluctuates year to year. Because if you get 12 all-stars a year, right, there's going to be somebody who was snubbed off the list. Like last year, I think a lot of accounts could have had Justice being an all-star. He's as talented as one. He's somebody who has put in the work over time to be recognized as one, but he didn't make the cut. This year, he's clear cut an all-star. Clear cut. He damn near starting 5. Almost, damn near. So it changes year to year. You know what I'm saying? So those are your all-stars, your regional people who are just the standouts, the people that you look at and say, okay, these are the most popping dudes. These are the people who run. To me, they're in the same tier as the professional tier, the mid tiers. You got some more popularity. You popping. You might be electric. Performances might be on that level, but you get the same amount of points as the professional tier, because even if you battle somebody in that professional or quote unquote mid tier, that's gonna be a competitive battle. You skill wise, you ain't clipping them, right? And then the last one, top tier / legend. This should be pretty self-explanatory. Top tiers, they get the most points. Legends get the most points. These are the people that if you battle them, this is a shot for you. These are your Mount Rushmores. These are your God tiers. These are your active top tiers, the superstars. These are the people that when you put them on a card, you're putting them on a card for that purpose. They're gonna be a part of that revenue, part of that ticket sale, part of that hype for the card. When you see them on a card, it's like, okay, the hype is here. Now, there are going to be people who disagree with who's top tier. I get it. That's why I also have it / legend, because the legendary tier is going to be from people, and I mentioned this name with respect. I mentioned it like the Source. I don't think a lot of people would say, oh, the Source is top tier. But if you go into that quote unquote God tier, which is how I look at legend, that's the God tier. Those are the people that have already established themselves as pioneers, Mount Rushmores of the culture. They've earned the right to be in that level. They've done something impactful for the culture that has stood the test of time. You look at Marv when he says, three things promised: death and taxes and my legend status. He's established himself as a legend for the things that he has brought to the game and the impact of what he brought to the game, right? So those are your legends. Top tier, same amount of points. This is more of an active tier because you can lose the quote-unquote top tier title. You can lose it. I've seen people do it over time where one time they were top tier, take some bad battles, have some bad performances. They're not showing up the way they should, and they can lose that. And you be right back to professional tier. And honestly, to be honest, the difference between professional tier and top tier is strictly based on what you generate in terms of the intangibles away from the craft. Because there are people who are all-stars and professional tiers and vets that have the same skill level as somebody we would say is top tier, right? I don't think that in terms of skill, it could be said that there's somebody who is in the mid-tier who is just as skilled, if not more skilled, than somebody that we call top tier. That becomes more of the subjective nature. What isn't subjective is the result when the battle's over. What do you generate on your own? What are you generating, right? So that's where your top tiers and your legends come in. Hopefully I'm breaking this down properly. And again, even as I'm talking right now, I already know the main one most people had the issue with, and it was really just the grassroots level had the issue, was with the rookies and locals vets. They just felt like a certain rookie shouldn't be given the same as a local vet. But then my response is, okay, if I tell you there's somebody like Kamikaze who is out here battling people in the professional tier, he has wins versus all-stars over here, and he's not a vet, and he's newer, but he ain't a rookie either. So how many points does he get? And most of y'all are going to tell me he should be equal to a vet, especially right now with his name being in a certain place and the kind of booking that he is required right now within the West. So there's some nuance to it, and I definitely understand that there's, everything's different. Some people will compare two people that are completely on opposite sides of the spectrum and say, Nico, they shouldn't be in the same regard. I get it. A part of that 100 points as well is just somebody who's on the grassroots, because there's going to be somebody that says, well, this person's been here, but they ain't really a vet. They just been around. Cool. They'll get that same 100. They'll get that same 100. All right. Now, let's go ahead and move along. Get to the next one. This is where we get to the subjective nature to a point. Now, it's pretty equal, but I'll put this here. Material. Solid material. Decent material. It was okay. We know all the descriptions and ways people have used to say, "Oh, this is all right. This is okay. It was all right." We know all them kind of descriptions. When we don't want to say something was good, we don't want to say something is fire. We know what we say, huh? And to me, that's around a 5 or a 6, about average. About a 5 or a 6. It's average. Now, anything below, as you can see, 5 out of 10. If it's below, like if it's trash, that means a 4 or less, it don't get any points. If it was trash, if the material was just awful, it don't get no points. Ain't even a mark for it. I ain't even got to put it there. But if it's solid, it's decent, it's all right, it's okay. 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, it gets you 100 points. Good. Now, this is where I've had the most conversation was about this good portion. It was for this one and for performance because it's both the same rating system. When I say good, I mean good on an overall level in battle rap. When somebody tells me, and I've said this before, when you say something is good on the grassroots, like, oh no, this is a good for where he's at locally, for the grassroots, that's good. That means it's either decent in all of battle rap or it's trash. If we're going to be honest, that's what that means. All right? We're going to be honest about it. That's what that means. I know that might be a lot, but we got to be honest. Good, you can't tell me something like, oh, JC just had a good performance, or let's say Eunice in Low Spring. Eunice just lost a battle in Low Spring, but people would say, oh, Eunice was still good in the battle. So then if I compare that to what's happening in the grassroots and it's better than that grassroots performance, what do you call that? What do you call that? You can't say it's in the same bracket. To me, good should be universal. I shouldn't have to rearrange the word to give somebody else that kind of compliment. So good to me, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. It's good. All right? On any level. Because this is the other thing that my point is, and I've seen this when I went to the event out there in Frisco. Shout out to Toys Battle League. But when I was out there at the event, there are people there who created, whether it was in a freestyle, rebuttal, or it was in a material, people are able to create lines that on any level of battle rap would be looked at as good. And it'll be from people who you wouldn't even put as somebody who is, quote unquote, a good battle rapper. Everybody can create. I think that's something that gets lost in translation. Everybody is able to create on the same level. A person who just started battle rapping can create a bar that on any level of battle rap, you would say, oh, this is a bar, right? On any level, you would be able to say that. So to me, that's my metric by which I judge with the material. That's why I have that being the 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. It should be universal. Great / classic 9s and 10s. This is for when you have those classic performances, those all-time great battles that they stand the test of time. They're elite. And it's a different level than everything else that you can look at. Examples of that, you got Lux versus Hollow. You got Easy versus Chess. You go down the line. This is this all-time great battle. You just okay, this is a different level. Surf versus Gotti. You know what I mean? There's this. You just know what those all-time greats, those classic material, what it looks like, what it sounds like. Surf third round versus Hitman. Lux third versus Hollow. Hollow first verse. Like you just know when you hear it, you're like, yeah, that's it. That's impeccable. That's immaculate. There's damn near nothing wrong with it. It's perfect. JC versus Chilla. We know when we say great, classic, that's what that is. Right? And I know somebody's going to say, well, Nico, what about fire? What if something's fire? Fire to me is in that good category. It's about an 8 out of 10. Fire. Can be a 9. Can be. But to me, it'll be anywhere 8, 9, and 10. You're talking about fire. Because fire just means elated. Fire is more associated with the performance. Right? Performance mixed in with the bar. Because you can say a bar that's fire, but it might not be as electric. When I hear fire, it sounds like, oh no, this is different than just a good bar or a nice line. No, this is different. Has something else with it. So that's when we get to performance. Now, performance. Only thing different with performance from everything else, as you can see, is that I added the choke / stumbles. It's negative 100 points for each stumble or choke that you have. So if you have multiple times in one round where you are stumbling, you're going to get dot points for each time you did. If you choke in more than one round, let's say 2 out of the 3 rounds you choke, you're going to lose 100 points per. All right? That's just the reality. You're going to lose that. So everything else is pretty standard, the same way it was with material. Solid, decent, 5 to 6 out of 10. Good, 7 to 8 out of 10. Great or classic, 9 to 10 out of 10, right? Pretty self-explanatory. You know what I'm saying? The only thing different is the chokes and stumbles, which to me, it is important. I know a lot of people have said stuff to me in the past. Nico, you give credit to certain people and they be inconsistent. They don't be having the same amount of consistency. I get it. That's why on the power rankings, you can see I clearly made sure. Now, I'm going to add 2 categories here. Cover both of these categories real quick. Consistency. 100 points added for each consecutive quality performance / win. Negative 100 points added for each consecutive poor performance / loss. So if you won back-to-back battles, you're going to get that 100 points added to the consistency category. Of your performances, if you're having debatables, but you have back-to-back quality performances, right? You're having high-quality performances, you're going to get that 100. If you're having low-quality performances, you're having bad performances, you're taking L's back-to-back, that's where you get the negative 100, and that goes to consistency. So there's multiple ways in which you can get negative points for everything. I tried to make sure that I had something to account for every metric when it comes to a battle. Moments, 300 points for each moment. We know what moments are. It's those things that stand the test of time. It's something that happens in, as it says, it happens in a moment, happens in an instant, and it clicks, it goes viral. Moments. We know what those are. I think one of the recent ones, I think XP and Fate both had a moment recently. I think Clutch, Jua, and they all had a moment recently where it's okay, this is a standalone bar. This is like the thing that we know you for. This is the thing that when we talk about you, this is what is attached to you. This moment, this instance in the battle that you created something that is just above and beyond. You know what I'm saying? The standard fire bar or good bar. Right? So that's what moments get you. All right. Hopefully y'all following me on that. Next up. Let's get to, and these are last 2 categories, but the win-loss, we're going to have to break that down separate. So I'm going to break down the league. Now, this is kind of similar to when I was talking about earlier when it was quality opponent, the league, quality of the league, where you're at with it, right? So let's go ahead and break down the league for a second. Grassroots West leagues or grassroots leagues outside the West. This is just your local leagues here in the West or local leagues outside the West. And the cards that they have facilitated are with local talent. They get you 100 points. So an example, a card over here in the West, if it's a card and the biggest names on the card are local vets, or if you have one person on the card that is of an all-star variety, but the rest of the card is just local talent, easy explanation for this, easy example will be the toys event I was just at. Main event, Fate versus Next, right? Main event. Rest of the card, they had some vets. You had a couple vets on there, and you had some newer talent. That's 100 points. Even though you had a matchup that is an all-star caliber matchup, the majority of the card is only going to get you 100. So then we get to the next category. Big West events or indie leagues. And there are examples there, iBattle, OSBL, Bullpen, etc. 300 points. Now, again, Those are the leagues I mentioned just because it was an easier way to give an example with those particular leagues, but it's not just limited to them. So an example, if you had a big card in the West and it gets you 300 points, can't spell the West without the ES. That card is a 300-point card. It had a bunch of professional tiers and all-stars on the card, both from here and elsewhere. And even if they did have a matchup with somebody who would be ranked in the local vet 100-point tier, they didn't flood the entire card. The majority of the card was the all-star professional tier vet level battle rappers. All right? That's where you get that. It'll be the same thing if you go to iBattle and you're in New York and the majority of the card has the same kind of outlook. Same, you have regional all-stars, you have professional tier people all throughout the card. Even if you did have a top tier matchup on there, if the majority of the card is that, and that's where you get 300. Now, the last one, main stage, big events, and again, I use the easy to understand URL, KO2D, RBE, Queen of the Ring, Chrome 23, etc. But Trenches, Battle Academy, Riot, Westworld, if they book a card, Calico, the BMF, the league, he's had events where the entire card is top tiers. I think his first 2 events were like that, right? That gets you 500 points. The majority of the card is star-studded. It's all the top tiers. It's legends. It's maxed out with that. You might have a couple ones on there where it's professional tier people battling each other or battling the top tier, but the majority of the card, top tiers, that's when you get that 500 points for that particular event. All right? Now, that's for a league. This is where I wanted to have the separate conversation because there was another bracket with the win-loss, and this is where I want to have this conversation with y'all. So make sure I put that there. This is where controversy happened before. Let me explain. Straightforward, 300 points for a clear/judge win and or classic. So let's say you have a debatable, but that debatable is an all-time classic battle. People are debating it. We don't know who won. The culture has a different person every time they watch it. Classics get the same as if you won a battle clear because classic battles always move the culture forward. Those are time stamps in time. They push the culture forward. Just like moments are what push the culture forward. All right? Negative 300 points for a clear/judge loss. Very straightforward, self-explanatory, all that. I see Fade in here. Shout out to Fade. I see. Yeah, we got to do a little breakdown. You know, got to do a breakdown. You know what I'm saying? And then the last one is where the controversy comes in. Clear win/loss, 66% or higher. Debatable, 65% or lower. So basically, if 2/3 of the people or more are saying you lost a battle, that is a clear win or clear loss. If 2/3 or more, if it's less than 2/3, that gets more into the debatable category. Now, somebody's going to say, Nico, there's not much difference between 65 and 66%. I get it. I do. I understand. I do understand wholeheartedly. And in most situations, I would agree, man, ain't too much difference. But then you could say the same thing. Well, Nico, ain't that much difference between 60% and 65%. It's only 5%, Nico. That ain't much. But we have to put it in a metric in which you can understand. Now, this here is for the extreme cases that don't really happen that often, where you're going to be the person to go to the after battle voting survey, when they put the voting survey at the end of the battle and they say, who do you have winning on the live stream? Or if you're on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, when you're on there and they have like LTBR or other platforms that are like, hey, who did you have winning? Go ahead and vote, and then you see the votes. Those are for those circumstances when you want to use that as your metric for who won or lost a battle. The only time I will go with those metrics is if I 100% am just like, you know what, I can't call a winner, and the culture is saying it's undoubtedly this person. That's when I'm like, all right, here we go. But those are more rare cases. I think we're being honest about this, and I think this is where a lot of people get it fucked up. Because there's not a lot of honesty within battle rap. There's biasness. You want to protect people's feelings. Don't want to really keep it real. don't want to get into contentious conversation. I'm the nigga who don't care about none of that. I'm going to just say it respectfully, the way I need to, break it down the way it should be broke down, critique it the way it should be critiqued, and move past it. So I think most of us know what a clear win looks like. When we see a battle, we know what a clear cut, no conversations whatsoever are needed win. And we know what that looks like if it's a loss, right? We know what debatables look like. Now, there is something that I see there that we'll make sure I'm clear on this. Debatables only count for a 3-round battle only. So if you're having a 1-rounder, which you guys know how I feel about 1-round battles, the only way you get points for a 1-round battle is if it was a classic. We're talking about Rex versus Young Ill. Got to be that level of classic 1-round battle where it's just it stood the test of time and it did something. That battle is an all-time battle, which is the rarity. So the majority of 1-round battles are either a clear winner, clear loser, or they're debatable. And if the battle is a 1-rounder and it's debatable, it was already a spar session. You ain't getting no points for that. Debatables only count for 3-round battles only. So you'll see when we get to the battle rapper resume how I have certain points attributed. It's going to be for those reasons. All right. So that's pretty much the breakdown. Again, I do understand that there's going to be people who are going to say, Nico, we need a better breakdown for the points. Vets shouldn't be the same as rookies. I understand that. It's just, to me, when we say rookies, we're always talking about the ones that most of the people are going to care about watching and talking about. When we're talking about vets, we're talking about the vets that most people are going to want to care about and talk about. So when we say vets, it shouldn't be an issue to say, well, we have this person, let's say, for example, when Hansel was a legitimate rookie, his first year in battle rap, he was better than the majority of the local vets we had here. So are you going to tell me he shouldn't have more points than them? He was a rookie, so it's nuance, right? Neither here nor there. That is the point system breakdown, all right? Now, let's get to the breakdown. Because you've seen the points. Now I'm going to show you an example of the resume. So as you can see, we have the resume on the screen now. It's alphabetized, so you can go to the particular bar, A, B. Like I'm going to scroll through it real quick so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So that's just the gist about it right there. You can see it. Everything's alphabetized. Everything has its own bar for where it is: opponent, league, material, performance, consistency, moments, win-loss, right? I even show the win-loss category so you can see that as well, because I know that didn't pop up on the first one. You can see that right there, right? This is where you will be able to come to check out anybody that you're looking at. So if you're saying, Nico, I need to see my particular profile. So we have Fate in here. Let's go to Fate's profile real quick. Let's go to Fate profile real quick. Let's go to Fate. Let's see. Think. Cut off at Danny. Boom, right there. So we have Fate. You can see Fate's resume, right? You can see the opponents that he's battled, where those battles took place at, the point totals that he was able to get per, right? The consistency, moments, and then win-loss in the last category, right? So you can see all that. Let me scroll over because we know that we're looking at Fate's resume right now. So let's scroll over. That's the whole thing. So this is for Fate. This is just an example, right? So you see where he's at, the wins, the losses. Now, the asterisk. Now, see, some of y'all are going to say, well, Nico, you have asterisk next to some of these things, right? You do have an asterisk next to some of these things. What does that mean? What does the asterisk mean? So I'll scroll down here. An asterisk symbolizes a 1-rounder or a 2v2. That is what the asterisk means. Now, I don't have an asterisk for everything. There, in the category right there, that's the category. He had a great performance, then he had a dud. So he doesn't get negative points because he hasn't had consecutive of either option. That's why I see in a, as you see right there, you have the NA with the asterisk. So that's where that's at there. Let's go back to Fate for a second. Go back to where he's at. And so you can see, let's scroll, Danny. Boom. So that's what that'll look like. And you can always go here. You can look at it. You can sift through all the different resumes. I have everybody updated, even somebody like Danny Myers. Danny Myers is probably the most active person we have in the West by far. Like, I don't even think it's close. I don't even think, I can get his whole resume. Boom. This is Danny Myers. He has a lot of fucking battles. So you can see all the people he's battled this year, all the different places, the kind of quality material. Man, most of the time you'll say, Nico, I see a lot of 300s. I see a lot of 300s. Yes, because the majority of the time, and if we're being honest, this is the truth all the way around. Most of the time, yeah, you got a lot. Yeah, Fate, I ain't gonna lie. When I was updating these power rankings, I'm like, yeah, this nigga Fate. And you'll see it reflected when we get to the actual, first, second play and all that in the rankings and all that, where we see where people are ranked. But this is where we break down all of this, right? Now, everybody's going to say, well, I see a lot of 300 points. I told you, good 7s, 8s. Most people who are already verified as being good or the all-stars or top tiers, the average for them is being good. That's why they're in the positions that they are, right? If most of your performances are in a 100-point category, you probably didn't make it past local vet. If the majority of the time we see you, you're only okay. If you're consistently good, you level up, you get to certain places, right? Now, there are people who I do have on here. There are certain people who do have 500 points for material or performance. Look at Dollar Bill. Here's a perfect example. 500 points for material, 500 points for performance. That is a standout, all-time great performance for Fate. Now you can check the nuance when he battled Danny Myers. You can see he lost 100 points for the choke in his second round, or else he would have had another 500-point performance. But he faltered. That's why you see that negative. So you can see it's nuance. Same way you can see with Professor X. And you can see PRE, that's a 1-rounder, did not count. But you see negative points. That's negative points because there was either a stumble or a choke in the battle. The same way with Professor X, you can see negative points were attributed. All right? And for the consistency, some of you are going to say, well, if you stumbled or you choked, shouldn't that go into the inconsistent category? No, it's not going to go into the inconsistent category strictly because if it's one round that it happens in, majority of your battle meant that you was all right. You said you battle next week. Hilarious. But yeah, this is the breakdown. This is where you can see everything. It's labeled. It's marked. You can check everything. And again, there are battles that have not updated. So Coffee just had a battle versus Eon. I did not update that because that was behind the paywall. Same way Geechee had a battle versus Facts. I wasn't able to add that one that's behind the paywall. Wasn't able to watch it. I was able to listen to it. I was able to hear the whole battle. I didn't get to watch the battle. And I didn't feel right about, okay, I heard the whole battle. I ain't get to watch it, though. So I'm going to wait until the battle drops on YouTube, and then we will add those. If your battle was on a Twitch live stream where it was free or a YouTube live stream and it was free, I've watched all of those battles. The ones that are behind paywalls, not going to lie, I ain't seen them all like that unless they dropped. Or unless somebody just so happened to have a stream and I was able to see that. But that recent one where Gotti and Coffee battled on the card, I didn't see that one. So we're going to wait until we get to that. Right? And once those drop, we'll update that as it needs to be. All right? So now I've shown you this, and we can kind of go through some more of this graphic so you can kind of see Clutch. See what Clutch did in his, see what Danny did, Daylight. You see like Dre Del Rey. Salute to Dre Del Rey. Everything is attributed to him and what he has going on. Fate, Dev. You can just see everybody has their Hansel. You can see everybody has their categories, everything. You know what I'm saying? Filters in the way it needs to. You can see Matt Flex, Mix, Leak. So you can see how everything looks for everybody, right? You can see it. All right. So that's that. Now we get to the last column, the first column that you'll reach. Whenever you click on the rankings, you'll get to the very first column and you'll say, okay, this is where you find who the actual ranking, who's ranked where, right? Now, as you can see, it goes by the points. So when you first click on this, you'll say, okay, I see Danny, I see previous points, I see new points, total points, and then the ranking, previous and current. So you can see previously Fate was at 6, he's now at 2nd. That's because I just did the update over this past weekend. When I went to start updating, he was in 6th place. He went to 2nd. Hansel, who was at 2nd before, drops to 3rd. So you see how that works, right? And you can see the points. The total points is how you get your ranking, right? So I know a lot of people are going to say, well, I see people who are undefeated, Nico. Why are they lower ranked than somebody who has more L's than them, like Justice? Justice is 5-0. Justice actually won his judge battle versus Hansel. It's based on the point total and what you produced in the battle. It's not based on the win-loss, all right? This is a power ranking. It's not a literal ranking where it's okay, let's just rank these people in the West. Because we're doing that, then obviously we'd have to have Justice ahead of Hansel and Fate, even though they have had certain battles against higher levels of competition. He has a spotless record, right? And so you can make that as an argument for why he should be ahead. And if you use champion criteria and you wanted to go by category to category, you can figure that out as well. All right. And again, not biased. Fate, Hansel, Justice are ranked ahead of Rum Nitty and Jada Nightwing. This isn't your top tier. You just get automatic. No. It's based on your actual work. What did you produce? Right. So I'll go through the entire ranking. Danny at 1, Fate 2, Hansel at 3, Justice at 4, Rum Nitty at 5, Jada Nightwing at 6, Coffee at 7, Cali Smooth at 8, Nets is at 9, Gotti is at 10. That's a top 10. XP, you can see, I think XP actually had the greatest jump for somebody who was ranked previously. He was 24th. Because of his last 2 battles versus KD and Gaddafi Green, he jumps to 11. So he jumped 13 slots. So salute to XP. You can see the work, right? Dre Del Rey. And you can see, and somebody's going to say, well, I have it marked Dre Del Rey and Dev had a debatable against each other, right? My opinion is I had Dev winning the battle, but it is close enough where somebody say Dre won. I'm not going to say that you're crazy and try to argue you down. I'm not going to do that. But look at the difference in points. This is key. 200 more points for Dre Del Rey than Dev. And they pretty much got the same amount of points for the battle, right? The only difference is Dre gets more points because he battled an all-star, a professional tier kind of dude in Dev, whereas Dev gave the shot. He doesn't get as many points for the quality of opponent. He's battling a rookie. He's battling somebody who has not yet gotten to the all-star level, or you know what I'm saying, and beyond. He hasn't gotten there yet. So Dre got more points for the battle, him getting a shot versus Dev. Dev did not. So that's where you can see the discrepancy in the point totals right there. And you can see they were both 14 and 15. Dev was ranked there, 12 and 13. You can see it. All right. So that's where that comes into play, right? That's an example, all right? So we'll continue going down the list. Dre at 12, Dev at 13, Real Name at 14, Trey Foe at 15. And that's, I know people will say, well, Nico, 200 points. What's going on? Well, the last battle Real Name had and the last battle Trey Foe had was against each other. The difference in that battle For one, Trey Focus got points for battling a real name Brandon. So we got more points than what real name would have got for battling a Trey Fo. But it balanced itself out because real name got the win versus Trey Fo and he got the negative. So that's a discrepancy where one person got 300 extra and the other person got a negative 300 that took away, right? And you don't get material performance points for a one rounder. You don't get those points, right? It's only the league, the opponent, win or loss, and moments. If you have moments, you can add that too, right? So that's why you would see where they're at. So real name at 14, Trey Fo at 15, active at 16. He was top 10. He didn't have anything to make him drop outside of just people passed him up who are outside working. So he's at 16. Keese went from 27th to 17th. That was for his battle versus Raw. His points elevated him 10 slots to 17. Mad Flex didn't have a battle on, you know what I'm saying? He got passed up, so that's why he dropped 5 slots. Clutch was not ranked on the last ranking, so he went from unranked to 19th for his clear win that he had versus Ishmullah. We added that, attributed that to his ranking. Grizz, tough battle, got 700 points for it. He stays around the same. He dropped about a slot. It actually went up a slot, right? But he only got 700 points. And he had a lot of points from his first battle. This battle only getting about 700, so he's about 20th. The Source at 21st. Madman Leak, 22nd. You'll see a lot of people who are on here who just haven't had battles like that recently. They're still here, all right? You have Miggs at Luck E 23rd, Miggs 24th, El Adamir 25th, Joe Maggi at 26, 27 we have Kamikaze, 28 we have Saint. G Will was not previously ranked on here, had his battle with Steams. Not very good battle, got a lot of points for it, but it's competitive right now. He's at 29. And last on the list, KO, who is at 30th, right? And so that's how the rankings are looking so far in terms of the actual current ranking where they're at. And yeah, that's a full breakdown for the power rankings. You know what I'm saying? In terms of the point system, where to look for it at. And I wanted to make sure I did this just strictly because I know I didn't do this earlier. I kind of just put it out there. Figured, hey, it's self-explanatory. You can read the point system for yourself. But I wanted to give y'all my perspective with it too. And again, I do remember that there were a lot of conversations in particular about the point system and certain points being there. There are nuance. And in certain instances, I wouldn't even be upset at somebody saying, Nico, there has to be a difference between a vet and a rookie, especially if the rookie don't really got no name like that. He ain't really good like that. He not somebody that we think has promise, but he's new. He can't get the same amount of points as me, and I'm a vet, and I'm actually giving shots, and I actually have some kind of rep to my name. So in those instances, I think there will be a way to attribute for that. Maybe the rookie may not even get a point unless you are somebody of promise or potential. We might have to look at just maybe some people just are not, you just don't get any points for battling them. And that could be a conversation as well. Everybody not meant to just have a point total associated with their name just because you're there. All right. But we'll table those for the future. This has been the breakdown 2025 Western Conference power rankings. Definitely appreciate y'all taking the time. We got the radio show tonight, Peel Your Cat Radio. We live in the Discord, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. We in the Discord tonight. We're going to cook up on all the topics and everything going on out there in the culture. And yeah, man, I will have, obviously, this link will be posted in the description, and I'll also post the link in the Western Conference too, so you guys can go there, check it out, have access to it. You can view this whenever you want to. I will be doing weekly updates or as battles drop. Every week, I will check it to see if there needs to be anything updated. But if a battle drops, say, later on today, I'll watch it, update. And we'll make sure we attribute that every time, right? So, yeah, that's the full updated edition for the power rankings. Definitely appreciate everybody for pulling up. As always, keep it battle rap. And I'm going to tell y'all as well, keep it West. I'll holler at y'all later, man. West.